Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 68 of the Run in the Pain podcast. I'm Miles. I'm here with Nick and Jackson back. Guys, how are you doing today?
Jackson's back. It only took him an hour before we had to wait for him to get.
Dude,
It's
looking
10
forward to
o'clock on what is
Monday.
it? Thursday night? Wednesday night?
Monday's the day, man.
I
That's
think it's
the
Thursday.
episode. The golden episode. One away.
Lovely
Good to see you,
golden.
homie.
One
Yeah,
away, man.
unfortunately, Joey not here today celebrating his dad's birthday. Shout out to Uncle Joe.
True.
Uncle
I just call
Joe,
him Joe. He's not my uncle.
great man, great man. Hope you guys are out partying,
Big 6-0
celebrating.
tonight.
Woo!
It's more than one.
Woo!
Congratulations. Oh, don't sell yourself short, Jackson. We had a great day today in the NBA. The full schedule has been released today. We are going to talk about part of that. We have a bit of an article that I have found here talking about predicting future Olympic rosters for Team USA. We'll go over that. And of course, the big headline, our top 10 power forwards list will be coming up shortly. But first, let's talk about the schedule. The full schedule was released. We had some leaks about opening week, the Christmas games, but now it is all here. Here are the opening week games. We'll cover these to start out with. Um, Nick, starting with you, are there any games on here? I guess
Yeah,
besides that first day, because we already kind of talked about that. What stands out to you about these first few days of the season?
I know we talked about the Knicks going to ring night in Boston. That's going to be huge. But the Pacers also getting to Madison Square Garden in the first week of rematch of the Eastern Conference Finals is going to be really fun to see.
I cannot
I'm
wait.
excited for that. I don't think this is on here, but something I wanted to mention was that November 13th is the first couple weeks of the season. It's the first big NBA Wednesday, and it's going to be Thunder, Pelicans, and then Grizzlies, Lakers back to back. So that'll be really fun to watch. And Miles, didn't you say that the Lakers had the most national TV games with 26, and Golden State was second with 25?
Yes, I have compiled the numbers, getting rid of NBA TV because, I mean, not everyone has NBA TV. The big heavy hitters, ESPN, TNT, ABC, the leaders in those games, as Nick said, the Lakers leading the league with 26, then Golden State 25, tied with the defending champion Celtics, also with 25.
Mm.
Then the Knicks with 23, makes sense. And then
Yeah.
Dallas with 22 right behind there.
Do you guys see any games on here that you like?
I mean, like you already said, that rematch with the Pacers and Knicks is something obviously we're looking forward to. And post Olympics, it's gonna be fun to see LeBron versus KD again. Um, well, not again. I mean, we've obviously seen it before in the past years, but not the Olympics. They played together. Thunder Nuggets, another good game. I mean, these are all like good games. Like, there's not a bad game on here by any means.
Yeah, I think that Thunder Nuggets game on that Thursday is a very, very good choice. I think that I was talking about this in the last episode or a couple episodes ago when we were talking about the reported opening week and Christmas Day games about how the Thunder should feel disrespected because of their lack of games. And they only have 15 national games this season. And when you look at the whole landscape of the league, teams that have like more than them, you've got teams like Phoenix with 19 games. The Timberwolves jumped up to 18. The Milwaukee Bucks with 17. OKC should have way more than 15, in my opinion. I'm also really high on their team going into this season after their emergence last year. Um, I think that that's just way too low for them.
One
Well,
thing that
yeah,
is worth
you're good.
Sorry, yeah, one thing that is definitely worth mentioning though is that we were talking about jokingly how the Hornets and the Bulls have like a mid-January ESPN game and how that game could get flexed. There's a Mavericks Thunder November 17th game within the first couple weeks of the season because I was going through some of the teams' schedules and stuff. And I feel like that's a game that should definitely get flexed to the primetime schedule because Thunder Mavs is like we saw that in the playoffs and went all the way to that Shea foul.
Yeah,
So
Dude, the Hornets Bulls game. So that is the only game that the Hornets have, and that's one of 2 games that the Bulls has. And I saw a Hornets fan on Twitter that posted a screenshot of the Hornets Bulls game on January, what'd you say, 17th or something
17th,
like
I think. Yeah,
that. And the Hornets fan tweeted, "Death, taxes, and the NBA flexing out a Hornets national TV game."
facts.
Because
That's so funny.
apparently that just always happens, even though we are pretty big fans of the Hornets going into
Yeah,
this season. I do like that they were able to make it so every team gets at least one game on national TV. That's always nice.
Mm.
Excited to see what teams can get off to hot starts. With easier, more difficult schedules. There was a stat. I know Nick, you were talking about in the pre-pod lobby how you were interested in seeing the amount of back-to-backs there would be because that's always
yeah.
a point of emphasis. And shoot, I don't remember who tweeted this. Forgive me for not having the facts here, but apparently every team has between 13 and 16 back-to-backs this season, so all pretty even on that front.
Isn't a saying that all back to backs aren't created equal though?
That is, yeah, that is very true.
Well,
I
because
would say,
some teams have players like Kawhi or like Paul George that won't play some of those back to back.
yeah. Let's
Not
see
with
here.
the NBA player participation policy.
That's right.
Yeah, because
So
that
yeah,
happens
so
so
it's
much.
Tim Reynolds on Twitter. That the average back-to-backs this season is 14.9, which is up from last year. Somehow they actually increased it, but it's all more even now. We have
Hmm.
no 4 games in 5 nights, no 8 and 12s, no 18 and 30. So way better on that. And
Wow.
teams won't play the day before or the day after high profile national TV games this season. So we should not have to worry as much about player or star players resting and missing those type of games unless they are actually injured because that was a thing last year. There were a lot of injuries and that's why some of these top 10 lists have been kind of difficult because we weren't sure, how many players played enough games.
Sorry,
One
I
of
was
the
just my throat.
one of the games I saw that I wanted to bring up was the Cavs and Lakers are playing on New Year's Eve at 9 o'clock. So that'll be going on like right as the balls drop, like right as the ball drops.
Can't be any worse than it was for Ohioans 2 years ago. Mr.
Oh
Noah
yeah,
Ruggles.
that's right.
Man, I hate that dude.
I forgot about that a few years ago.
He better not show his face here ever.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's all for the schedule for now. Of course, we got, still 2 months to go before the start of the season, but always nice to finally get that schedule out, start planning out, what games you want to mark on your calendar to make sure that you want to watch. Next up, we'll go to this Olympic article here. I'll put it up for you guys here just because I'm curious. We haven't really talked about the projecting of potential future rosters for Team USA in the 2028 Olympics. And if we don't cover it now, we probably won't get to it for another 4 years until the next Olympics. So Sean Powell on NBA.com wrote this article. We'll see who he has here on this list. So first up is Bam. I mean, we're gonna have some guys from the team this season,
Hmm.
the younger guys. So Bam obviously makes a lot of sense. Paolo Banchero, who, um,
Deserved.
yeah,
They said he was
definitely.
next man up.
Yeah, he probably was next man up on the team this year.
Not
Devin
Jalen
Booker, who was awesome this year
Yeah.
in the Olympics. And you got 4 guys here. Mikal Bridges, who was wasn't he on the team in 2021 that got it?
I believe so.
He was on the FIBA team last year.
Yeah.
That's right. And then Jalen Brown. So here we go. Jalen Brown. Do you guys think that he will be on the team in 4 years?
No, because
Jackson,
he's a
you go
system.
first. What?
He was complaining to the media instead of like congratulating Derek White, which kind of pissed me off. Just I don't know. He seems like I don't know.
Yeah, I
He
mean
seems
they left
jealous.
Isaiah Thomas off for a reason, off the dream team.
Yeah, that is true because of the comments. So yeah, that could potentially be a thing. They've
I
got
haven't
Kate.
heard. any
Sure, go ahead.
bad names yet so far.
No, they're really. I mean, there's really not many bad names you can really get here. Cade
Pretty
Cunningham,
agreeable.
Anthony Edwards, of course. He's definitely probably the biggest lock to make that list. In these
Mhm.
last few, De'Aaron Fox would be
Hmm.
nice on the team. Chet Holmgren, Jaren Jackson Jr. Okay, Jason Tatum. After this is perfect. Would Tatum even want to return 4 years from now after how this experience went? What do you guys think?
I
Yeah, I
feel
don't
like
think
he would.
that you're
Yeah, I
good.
feel like he would. I feel like he definitely would.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he really like cares too much about it. I mean, all the comments and stuff like it maybe got to him a little bit, but also at the end of the day, you can't pass up joining Team USA. Like you just can't playing
Yeah, it
for your
was
team.
probably more disappointing that he just didn't get the minutes that he wanted.
But I feel
Um,
like he also understands looking at the
Yeah.
teams around him like, hey, was kind of tough. But
there wasn't.
he would be the number 2 option on that team
After
Yeah,
behind
who?
on this team
Ant.
probably.
After
They
Ant-Man?
Derek
Yeah, I
White
think
on
that's it, man.
and then finally Derek White on here. I guess the thing is, are there any players that you would want to see on this team in 4 years? I know it's kind of hard to think like, and it's things can change too. Like Derek White, this last name on the list, 4 years ago, you would never expect a Derek White to be on this team and be an impactful type player. So you just never know who could progress. What young guys may come in and will make it. I know Cooper Flag is a name
I
that
think
everyone's going to put on the list.
Coop's got it. I think Coop's gonna be in there no matter what, just for to have a face. And I think another like underrated guy that could be on there is Herb Jones if they don't put Derek White on it, because Derek White's gonna be aging at that like not super old, but like not super young at the same time. And I think Herb Jones still brings that defensive aggressiveness and pretty much everything, just not as good shooting and not, but he also brings better length. So
Yeah,
I
very
think
true. And he could improve that 3-point shot by the time the next Olympics come around. He could be the, Derek White of 4 years for sure at that time.
mhm.
I would have to throw John Morant's name out there because he definitely, I think, would be really good in FIBA play.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a number one option. That dude can light it up, and he's just as unguardable in that setting, like in the Olympic setting, as he would be in the NBA. But another guy, my Grizzlies love is Jaren Jackson Jr. is on the 2023 FIBA team. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Yeah, Jaren Jackson Jr. definitely could be a guy, former defensive player of the year. I mean, that's something that Team USA could use is some more big guys because um like even this year they really didn't have I mean, obviously Joel Embiid,
Yeah,
Bam is gonna be there. Anthony Davis, probably not. Maybe if they want to have a veteran or an old guy in there, but they're gonna need more big guys, and Triple J would be perfect.
yeah. What I
Yeah.
was gonna say was, sorry, he didn't play great in the FIBA last year, but he was asked to be like the five guy. Like it was him, and if there was anyone bigger out there, then it was Walker Kessler, and he got benched most of the latter of the tournament. So I think Jared playing next to someone like AD or Joel or Bam would be really impactful.
I think another guy that you were talking about, big guys that could play. What about like a Jalen Duren type player?
Yeah, sure.
Like
A
in
guy to
4 years,
just get
I think
rebound.
Jalen Duren's going to be an absolute
Or
monster.
even Mobley.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mobley
Mobley.
too. Like a combo of one of those two guys or both those guys. Because I think you'll have Coop there. Coop's going to be a 4 that you can use, possibly a 5.
Paolo be a fourth.
Paolo will be a 4. Mobley should be there as a 4. Even Scotty Barnes potentially a 3 or 4.
Talk
And then
about a personality that doesn't match.
and then you'll have Bam, but even Bam could get left off it if they want to run like a Chet and like
Chet should be there for sure.
Duran.
I
I think
think Chet
they,
is going to be better than Bam in 4 years, so
I
he'll be.
agree. I agree.
Hold on a minute.
I think they're gonna need Chet because he matches way better up against Victor. I think that's what they got to start planning is basically who's gonna guard Victor.
Yeah, I guess that kind of is. You need big guy defenders because you're gonna go like we saw Team USA this year. You're gonna go up against Jokic potentially if he's still there, and Wemby. You're gonna go up against big guys, and maybe Joel Embiid if he goes to a different team to play for them
I
in
am
the
not
Olympics.
worried if he goes anywhere else. He's a
Yeah,
loser.
Canada doesn't really have size, but I was gonna say that Germany should be getting Harden signed next round, next time through the Olympics.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that is true. Team USA, another guy who I know wanted to be on the team this year, and because Team USA, they could use some more, isolation scores that could just go get a bucket. Because when you look at guys that could be there, there's Ant, there's Booker, but even Booker was more of a spot shooter this time. That's Donovan Mitchell. I feel like he's a guy that could fit as a scorer.
Definitely.
He should have been there this year, honestly.
Yeah, but I mean this year, I mean it's just hard to find room to fit guys in there, so
Hey, if
it
they're
makes a lot.
looking for someone just to get a bucket, they might just need to get Cam Thomas out there.
That's true. That's
They can,
not a
That's
bad point.
another thing is like this is 4 years away. Like there's guys who aren't even in the league yet who might have a real shot at being on this team.
even like Cam Boozer, Cole Pete, Dylan Harper, all those guys too.
It's crazy that we're talking about two Cavs players on the 2028 Olympic team. Never would I have thought this was gonna happen during any episode.
Yeah, dude. They just want to
Yeah,
be like the Rockets. The Rockets had a couple Olympians this year too.
Brandon Miller could be a guy too. Because now I'm thinking like Anthony Edwards
Right.
if when people were predicting these lists like 4 years ago, Anthony Edwards just finished his rookie season, so there could be players that were rookies this year. And Brandon Miller, the best American player,
Dude, for
he would
all
be
Victor Wembanyama could be an American citizen by
Yeah, that'd be a dream.
then.
the NBA dream. Well,
Him and Chet
now,
would actually just be the most unfair thing ever.
yeah, that would
Chet
definitely
and
be
Jay.
crazy. But let's move into our top 10 power forwards list. This is a stacked list. The last episode, shooting guards, small forwards. It was definitely less talented than the point guards and power forwards. This was very, very difficult to narrow it down to 10 players on the list. We're probably going to have a lot of different honorable mention players. My like philosophy when I go into like trying to pick a pool of players from each position. I made a document that has all the players with their positions that I send to you guys.
Right.
I go in and bold my players, and then I pick from there. Power forwards, there were like 16 players that I bolded that I was like could maybe make the list, but then I was like, oh, this is way too good for this many players.
Yeah.
So
I'm
Jackson,
nervous.
since you haven't been here for the last two lists, you go first with your number 10 player. Joey's not here. I do have his list, so
Oh,
I'll
even
reveal that.
even though it's like because I've had the best lists the last couple of times.
We'll see. You gotta put up or shut up.
All right, so at my number 10, I have from the Toronto Raptors, Scotty Barnes.
Oh shoot, Scotty Barnes.
Did you
Nice.
forget him or something?
That's also who Joey has at number 10.
I mean, I think just looking at him, I think come this time next year, he's going to be higher on this list. I just think as of right now, he's a good 10 spot. I mean, he had a great season last year. Had a really was in line for most improved player. And yeah, he just showed that he could be a leader, not for a playoff team necessarily, but a team that is rebuilding and that could potentially be a playoff team in a couple of years. And I think he's just going to continue to get better like he's already done. So I think he's a perfect number 10 spot.
Yeah, this year, first time All Star, 20 points, 8 boards, 6 assists, a steal, a block and a half. I know when we after like a month into the season, we did a top 25 players list, and Scotty Barnes was pretty high because he was doing some things that kind of reminded you of like maybe a Kawhi Leonard progression type thing. Because to start the season, he was burying jump shots, at a pretty consistent rate. Then later on in the season, the Raptors traded, Siakam and Anunoby. They got worse. They wanted to lose some more games, so his numbers kind of dipped a little from there. But very good season for Scotty Barnes, especially after, he won Rookie of the Year 2 seasons ago. He had a pretty stagnant year. He really didn't make any jump last season, or well, 2 years ago. He made the jump last year.
Hmm.
Miles, did you have Scott in your list?
I actually have him one spot ahead. I have him at number 9. My
Okay.
number
Oh, we
10,
didn't spoil his list, man.
my number 10, I still don't even know who I want to say for this spot. It's between two players, but I think I'm going to give it to Carl Anthony Towns.
Oh wow, I have him a bit higher.
For what?
Um, Cat, Cat, I thought had a very, he had a very good year. I mean, the Timberwolves were great this season, and Cat just had a very solid year. I mean, he's after a season, when Rudy Gobert first got there, it was his first time playing, really out of position there at that power forward spot. It was a struggle, and he also, had a calf injury. I believe it was that year. He only played 29 games. This year looked a lot better in that role as a power forward. Still, he's still basically known as a center that's playing alongside another center, but has improved his playmaking skills. He actually had the second best 3-point shooting year of his career, which is saying something for Karl Anthony Towns, arguably the greatest big man shooter of all time. So I just thought he had a really good season. I mean, we can question whether or not he will stay there long term because the Timberwolves have so many players that they're trying to pay.
They have
But
to.
as far as last year, had a very very solid year.
Yeah, I like Cat. I have him a little bit higher. So my number 10 is J Dub of Oklahoma
Nice.
City. Um, and this was a tough one. Scotty's definitely close, but he didn't make my list. J Dub was Scotty was the rookie of the year. J Dub was the rookie of the year runner up last year, and Scotty won it the year before. But I don't know. J Dub's got a higher win share rate. He's got a higher 3-point percentage by like a lot. He shoots a crazy 3-point percentage. And I thought he really like talk about someone who took a jump in his second year. I think he's very deserving to be on this top 10 list.
That's who I was debating between Cat and Jada, honestly, because I'm such a big fan of this guy. 19 points, 4 boards, 4.5 assists for the number one seed in the West. And this is a 6'5". He's listed at 6'5". I would probably say 6'4" power forward who shot 54% from the field still
Yeah,
and one of the
effective.
clutchest guys. He was incredible. I'm gonna say it here first. Jalen Williams will make his first All Star game this season.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm saying it now.
I mean, he shoots 10 threes a night, and he's making six of them. It's like,
Oh, those are 10 twos.
Yeah, I was
oh,
just
my
saying,
bad,
what?
bro. Thanks, my bad.
Is he
Oh,
the
you're good.
greatest shooter ever?
Greatest shooter ever. And he was
Yeah,
still
no, that
he
would
was
be.
still pretty good in the playoffs too. I know his efficiency dipped down a little bit, but even for a player in his first playoffs, still 19.7 boards, 5 assists, and 47% from the field and 39 from three is not bad for your first playoffs as the second, third best player. You can debate, him and Chet. Um, but either way, great, great player. I'm excited to see what he can do this next season. I'm sad he didn't make my list, but I'm glad he made yours. I'm glad he was able to get some love on here.
All right, I'll roll into my number 9 then because this one, I was telling Miles earlier, like my 5 through 9, like, I thought that this list between power forwards there was a certified like top five and then a bottom top five. And to be honest, it was hard to pick between the top two. And then when I moved on to 3 and 4, it was hard to pick a 3 and a 4. And then the fifth guy kind of slid in there. So these next four guys, honestly, after J Dub, these next four guys are they're really movable. But this is a younger dude who has more to establish before he ranks up and moves up the list a little bit more. I'm sure he'll be doing that. But at the end of the year, he could be higher than the next two guys I'm going to name. I got Paolo at number 9.
Wow. Joey also has Paulo at number 9.
Jackson, what is that reaction?
Which I have him a lot. I have him a lot higher.
I do
Okay.
too.
I'm not mad at not because like you said, these are all very, very interchangeable.
Yeah, and he's just like first round exit in the playoffs last year. He didn't crumble under the pressure. Like he actually looked really good in the playoffs. He had a lot to do with Franz not playing great and Orlando's sort of guard problem not figured out in the playoffs. But he just hasn't proved it enough for me yet to put him over like Carl Anthony Towns, for example.
Interesting. All right, Jackson, who do you have at your number 9? We'll get to Paulo later because I know we have
So
we
my
probably.
number 9 is another young guy. He did help beat Paolo in the playoffs. I have Evan Mobley. I think just because what he doesn't bring what these other guys bring on the offensive side, but as a young player, he's already been a top 3 defensive player of the year candidate. He's one of the best defensive players in the league, and he's only going to continue to get better. And now that he's in an offensive-minded system, I think the sky's the limit for him right now. I really do.
Mobley was my number 12 guy. After Scotty got left off, I would go Mobley and then probably Aaron Gordon after that.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with Mobley, especially in the playoffs, because he did have a pretty good playoffs.
He
His
did. He made
numbers
good playoffs.
didn't jump up a ton in the playoffs from the regular season, but in each round he was asked to do different things. Like in round 1 against Orlando, um, he was asked to rebound and block shots. That's really all he was asked to do and roll to the basket. In the Celtics series, he was asked to play make more and score more, and he did that in that series. So he was able to do a lot of different things without Jared Allen alongside him. I even forgot that in Game 7 of the Magic series, he had 11 points, 16 rebounds, and 5 blocks in his
Jeez.
first Game 7. That's really good stuff. So I'm glad Mobley made your list. I hope he can jump up higher in this list next year.
Miles, who's your number 9?
Number 9 is where I had Scotty Barnes.
Oh, okay.
So we already talked about him there. So I'll go into my number 8. Number 8 is where I have Pascal Siakam, Spicy
Let's
P.
go. We all got him there.
Yo,
We
let's
all got him.
go. That is
Let's
awesome.
go.
Yeah, his
Pascal
playoffs were just
Siakam, man.
special. He was so good in the playoffs.
He really was. Like he became the Pacers' probably most reliable option in the playoffs because Tyrese Halliburton, you really didn't know whether or not he was going to be aggressive or not in certain games. You knew what you were getting from Pascal Siakam, which was great because there
What
were some seasons in Toronto where his numbers looked really good, but I personally didn't like watching Siakam play the last few years. This year, it was a lot of fun. Maybe it was because he was on the Pacers now. The Pacers were a blast to watch, but what he did in the playoffs, it was some special stuff there.
Dude, his free throw line jumper was just cash every single time in that, I think, second and third round versus the Knicks and the Celtics. He just kept getting right to that free throw line jumper. It was cash.
Yeah, I remember when the trade happened, we were wondering if the fit would work, whether he would, stay in Indiana. I don't think they could have asked for much better than what he ended up giving them. I mean, in the playoffs, 21.7 boards, 4 assists per game. And to your point, 54% from the field, 59% on 2-point attempts, and most of them were of that mid-range
Wow.
pull-up variety. Only thing that wasn't really working were his free throws at 62%. He's got to get in the gym and work on that a little bit. But
Who did Joey have at number 8?
Joey has Karl Anthony Towns at number 8,
what?
and then
That's
Siakam at number 7. So he's got
okay.
Siakam.
So yeah, me and Joey flip flop because I have Towns at 7. That's my next guy.
All right. Well, why do you have Towns at 7?
Mm.
Mm.
He's a great. I mean, he's one of the best stretch fours and two-way players in the league. Like, he can still like beat you on a closeout better than a lot of guys who are his size. I mean, he's a 3-level scorer that it has an impact on both ends. He's just not as always consistent as like you'd like to see, but I think his highs are good enough to have him, above Paolo and Siakam at this point. And he's a very crucial part of like the best team in the Western, one of the best teams in the Western Conference.
Yeah, Western Conference Finals run. I guess my big thing was probably his playoffs. Why he was lower for me because I don't know his. I remember talking about it a lot during the playoffs. How his highs were pretty high, his lows were pretty low, and most of those lows were him getting into foul trouble a lot. That's the one
Yeah.
thing I think that he needs to figure out is the foul trouble, which is crazy. I mean, maybe he never figures it out. I mean, he's 28 years old at this point. That may just always be a thing, but this guy is capable of lighting it up from outside, and
Was that a problem? Was that a problem versus Dallas? I mean, I feel like they were winning when he was doing that though, too, weren't they?
What,
Like
fouling?
oddly, yeah. Like I
Oh,
remember the fouling problem also being something Ant kept joking about because they just kept winning regardless.
he did foul out in their one win in the conference finals. But that he did
Oh,
have
okay.
25 points in that game as well. The previous 3 games, he shot 30% or below in the first 3 losses.
Yeah,
So
it's bad.
he was their X factor really in that series.
I mean, can understand why you would have Siakam higher than him because like the recency of the playoff stuff, but I just think like the overall framework of what they've done as a player up to this point is why I have him higher.
Yeah, can't be mad at it all. Jackson, who is your number 7?
I have Zion at my 7.
Nice, so do I.
I
You guys
think,
are snubbing him.
dude, I'm not snubbing him from crap. He's snubbing us from watching him play
You guys have
basketball every year.
Paolo over Zion. That's
Yes,
crazy.
because he's
Not even close. In my opinion, not even
Crazy.
close.
dude,
Not even close.
he's snubbing us from letting him watch us or letting us watch him play basketball every year. It's getting ridiculous at this point.
I'll stop you there. I mean, this he played
He played
70 games this year. I mean, if
he
we're
played
basing this
more
off
last year,
last
but
year, if we're
when it
basing it off,
mattered, he wasn't there.
I mean, he nearly carried them to that play and win. I mean, I
Yeah,
thought Zion had a really, he had a really solid year last year. It was all around very solid. His scoring did go down a bit, but he played in, the most games of his career, 70 games. You would wish that he would be healthy in the playoffs. It's crazy that he still hasn't played a playoff game yet. Now, this is going to be his 6th season in the NBA. It's even crazy to think that he's going into his 6th year already.
True.
But he's just a very, very, very solid player. I think that 7 is just a solid spot. I think that the guys above him had better individual seasons and their teams had better success than Zion did.
yeah, that's fair.
All right.
6 is where Joey had Zion. So
I
not,
had Zion at 6 as well. Me and Joey
so,
are locked in on this one.
yeah, so very close. I mean, it's one spot. So.
Snubbed.
It's a snub. All right. So Jackson, who's your number 6?
Paolo Banchero.
All right. Follow at number 6.
Yes, he deserves to be there. You're talking about how some of these guys are like key contributors to top teams in their conferences. He was the number 1 option on a 5th seed in the playoffs. As a, what is he, 20, 21, 22?
21 years old.
That's pretty crazy if you think about it.
Where were
Like,
the Pelicans in Zion's second year? Not in the 5th seed. You just
dude, he
said that.
played
I
like
was like, he hasn't played a playoff game.
Yeah, no play. Yeah, I mean no playoffs. They were pretty
Dang
brutal.
it. I don't know. Is Paolo better than Zion? I don't know.
I think
Dang,
I
no.
think I think absolutely. This is my controversial thing. Number 6 is where I have the claw. I have Kawhi at number 6. I
I
have
don't think that.
Paolo above Kawhi for last season
Wow.
specifically.
I don't hate that.
Um And my reasons for this, I mean, Kawhi, I mean, we talked about Zion with him not staying in the court. Since he's gotten to the Clippers, this man has not had a single healthy season besides the bubble year where they just didn't want to be in the bubble. Since then, he's had some sort of injury that has made him miss, crucial parts of the playoffs. He's played in 4 playoff games the last 2 years. And last year he did have a stretch where he was the best player in the game in December. I want to find his numbers. I'm pretty sure he was shooting like 60% from the field for a whole month consistently on um 29 points per game. He was great. He was fantastic. His efficiency was great. I just said Paulo ahead of him because I like his all-around scoring more, and I thought he led his team better. I mean, the fact that the Clippers and the Mavericks were basically, or the Clippers and the Magic were basically in the same standing, and I mean, you look at the rosters of those 2 teams. There's no way the Magic should have finished in the same spot as the Clippers this season. So that's why I got Paulo over Kawhi.
Yeah, that's really. I mean, I don't hate that at all. I mean, I have Kawhi at 5, but it's very interchangeable. Just depending, especially going into next season, I think Paolo could take an even bigger jump next year.
Yeah,
I think it's just too hard to put Kawhi below.
I guess for me it's more like a personal bias thing where I just have watched Kawhi like be the runner up and the finalist for the MVP and the Finals MVP for like such a long time that I just have a little higher. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know
of
level.
course. Yeah, I mean
So
Kawhi.
yeah, I actually have him even over Tatum. I have Kawhi 4, Tatum 5. Who does Joey have 5?
Ooh,
I'm
okay,
sorry.
interesting. So Joey had Kawhi Leonard at number 5. Um, so similar placement. So Nick, who did you have at 5?
Tatum,
5 for Jason Tatum. Look,
the
I'm not
fourth
mad
best
at
player on
all
his
about this.
team. Yeah, no, I mean, I just think he's outside of that group of guys who I have higher than him. I don't know.
Yeah, look, I am not mad at that at all. I think that he is higher because he was, he is coming off a championship season, all NBA first team. He had a great regular season on the best team in the NBA. But I mean, individual, I mean, his numbers, if you're looking at stats, they don't individually add up to, these other 4 guys ahead of him. And he did
Plus,
have his, cold shooting in the playoffs at certain points. So it makes some sense.
like we were saying on the last episode, sometimes the make or break thing is like, who do I want on my fantasy team? I'd kind of rather have Kawhi this year than Tatum.
Oh, drop the bottle.
Now listen. As someone who had Kawhi, I would trade Tatum for Kawhi 10 times out of 10.
That's true. Yeah, I probably won't.
I would.
I probably wouldn't actually do
The,
that.
the, the injuries, look, the injuries, dude.
In the playoffs, though, if I was a GM, maybe that's
In the
Kawhi didn't play in the playoffs.
no. I mean,
that's a caveat. If they're playing, I would rather have Kawhi than Tatum. But that if they're playing, you don't
yeah,
know if
right.
Kawhi can
Oh,
play.
you're having some silly goose.
Well, neither of them played for Team USA.
Oh, God. Okay, so Nick, you have Kawhi at number 4.
Correct.
Kawhi was
Okay,
set
and
early, bro.
and then Jackson, who do you have at number 4?
KD.
Yep, Kevin Durant. I've got him there. So does Joey.
Listen, bro got detonated in the first round last year. We can't just overlook that because he was really good at the Olympics. He got absolutely destroyed.
Well, he was really good in the regular season, really good in the playoffs too. Like it wasn't his fault that they lost.
Nah,
You know?
it was because he set Ant on fire. That was his
Oh,
fault.
he set Ant on fire because back in early 2010s he made Ant become, Durant became Ant's idol. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Great.
And now,
I mean,
and now Durant's like adopted him as like his little brother.
He did throw
Yeah.
him a lob.
that was super awesome. But look, Kevin Durant. I mean, it's Kevin Durant, man. I mean, the fact, LeBron and Kevin Durant included are guys that are making us kind of change how we view players at 35 years old later in their careers. Because Kevin Durant at 35 years old, 27 points, 52% from the field, 41% from 3. I mean, it's just ridiculous still that these guys can do this. And obviously we'll get to LeBron later, but it's
I had
very impressive.
to keep with the Kevin Durant thing. He was my next at number 3.
Nice.
I just had him one spot higher.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I mean, it's okay. It's whatever.
All right, so let's go number 3. So number 3 is where I had Jason Tatum.
Okay, so we have literally the same list, pretty much.
Same as shooting guards.
Bro just copied me. What a friggin' turd.
So we've got Tatum at number 3. Joey actually has Tatum number 2. He has LeBron James at number 3.
Why?
What the heck? He would give up. Why would he submit this list and not show up to support it?
It's trash. It's awful.
Tatum over LeBron is crazy.
It's garbage.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I mean, we got LeBron at number 2.
Dude, at
right?
least when
Right.
I wasn't here and I submitted
Yeah.
a list, at least they were both banger lists. Like he came here and just submitted a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Look,
LeBron at number 2, and then Giannis at 1.
yeah,
Well,
Dun, dun,
gotta
I had
dun.
Jabari Smith at 1.
Jabari
Jabari
Smith at
Smith,
one. Look, hey,
Dylan Brooks.
Look, LeBron James. I mean, it just doesn't get old watching him play. The fact that he had his most efficient year as a Laker, 54% from the field, a career high from 3 this year. Like he just continues to get better and better, and it's just not fair. I mean, one of the big things that I took away from the Olympics, and I think Tim Bontemps agrees with me on this, that the Olympics showcase that the Lakers need to do a better job of building around LeBron and Anthony Davis because they are still the elite of the elite. They should not be as irrelevant as they really are. Like the fact that we kind of just expect them to be first round exits, if that makes sense. Obviously, the Lakers are going to get talked about, but in the grand scheme of the league, we kind of just expect them to make the play in first round exit, and that's it. They should not be that when
Dude,
LeBron and AD are still playing at superstar levels.
the Lakers need to trade for Steph Curry right now. It's the only, it's what I saw. I mean, LeBron is literally just Draymond Green, but better at literally every single aspect of basketball. He's the perfect teammate for Stephen Curry. It's like actually kind of insane.
What I was gonna say though is along the same idea is they need to build up better around them too. Is like one of the reasons LeBron is so I think one of the really important reasons LeBron is able to do this so late is because he has such a great teammate in AD. Like those two work together really well, and LeBron, you know, has played with some great teammates in the past, D Wade, Bosh, talk about Kyrie Irving, but like him and AD work in a certain way that none of his teammates in the past really have before.
Now that's an interesting. I've heard that before, and I'll throw this to you, Jackson. Who do you think is the best teammate that LeBron has played with as far as fit goes? Would it be Dwayne Wade, Kyrie Irving, or Anthony Davis? Because I think this is a bit of a tough one.
It is tough.
Because I think all time, Dwayne Wade probably the best player, but Kyrie Irving to me fit him the
Well,
best.
all-time best player was Shaquille O'Neal, first of all.
Oh well,
Yeah,
yes.
that's
Sorry,
true.
sorry about that. I forgot about that.
But yeah, I think fit-wise, I think it could be AD. Just that defensive anchor that will catch lobs and can pretty much do everything on the court. I mean, D Wade, you can't go wrong saying D Wade. I mean, it's
Yeah,
like I was also wasn't old enough to like watch and take in what him and Wade were doing at the time. At least because that's when I was like kind of just starting to get into it, and it was really only the Rockets and the Cavs that I watched as
yeah.
much as I could. But yeah,
But yeah, I think it's an interesting question. You could make cases for all of them, but either way, number one, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek Freak. You know,
freak on the court, freak in the sheets.
great season. I mean, obviously, all these guys have great seasons, but Giannis specifically, I feel like he might be one of the least talked about superstars, or at least top players, because I feel like no one really talks about Giannis anymore. He just had the most efficient year of his career. I mean, 61% from the field, and I'm sure his paint numbers were unbelievable. Like this is Shaq-esque what we've seen from Giannis. Unfortunately, the last 2 years, he's just gotten injured either right before the playoffs or at the start of the playoffs, and the Bucks have been first round exits the last 2 years.
Dude, he just plays boring. What can I say?
No,
He needs to get in the gym with my boy Jabari Smith Jr.
it's just because he doesn't shoot threes, but he's still able to dominate like Shaq. Like I mean, he's basically Shaq, but averaging 30 points a night for 3 straight years. I mean, 12 rebounds and 30 points a night. How do you, it's there's no other argument. And then he's out there getting double digit assist numbers as well, like just racking off triple doubles and sometimes. And yeah, he's unstoppable.
He is unstoppable. It's just this Bucks team. I just hope that they can actually enter the playoffs healthy because I mean, it just I don't want it to be a stamp on him that that he has back-to-back first round exits, but I also feel like it's something that's not really being talked about a whole lot. Because they do need to be better. This year is going to be a big year for the Milwaukee Bucks. But I mean, Giannis, he's already cemented himself. I don't think there's really much more he needs to do really to solidify how amazing he is as far as the history of the game goes.
Yeah, definitely.
Still only 29 years old.
Going back
Still,
to the schedule release, just real quick, it was
yeah,
interesting. I was going over it. The Bucks play the Pistons twice back to back to end their year, and the Celtics play the Hornets twice back to back to end their year.
yeah.
Scripted.
I thought
That's
that was
crazy.
interesting.
Yeah, some of these teams have just gotten like easy endings, and some teams have brutal endings too. Like, don't the Rockets have a rough ending to finish the year?
Yes.
Dude, it's fine. It's fine.
Well, let us know in the comments what you think about these top 10 power forwards. This was a lot of fun. Maybe the least amount of arguing we've had on these lists so far. Maybe because
Yeah, because
Jackson's
Joey
back.
wasn't here to explain his list.
That is true. We do need Joey to come out here and explain some things a little bit.
It sucked.
This is a lot of fun though. Top 10 centers is gonna be tough.
True.
It's gonna be way
Very
better
tough.
though. No Joel Embiid.
Maybe I was talking with Nick in the pre-pod lobby. We may need to discuss this because it feels weird. We'll see. We'll see if Joel Embiid ends up making qualifying for the list.
I'll
I mean,
just
he
put
did.
him in at 10. Don't worry.
Yes, Joel Embiid at number 10. But let us know what you
100%.
guys think of the top 10 power forwards list. The schedule release, the thing you're most looking forward to from the schedule. We will be back soon on what day is today? We'll be back on Tuesday to go
Yep.
over the top 10 centers, and then after that, a top 50 players list. That's going to be the big episode there where all of us combine our list for top 50. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe for more NBA content. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.